Today we're going to focus on an integration that we built for a client that didn't need AI. And I think it's really important to understand in this world where a lot of things can leverage the capabilities of AI, how we can be critical of where it actually makes sense to apply it and where it doesn't. So this is a prime example of an opportunity that existed within a workflow to speed up a process that didn't necessarily make sense to have AI. So the scenario covered a travel business already using Monday. They had the requirement for vertical integration of data. So what that meant is basically the start time of an item had to match the finish time of the item before it. So as they're building an itinerary or a plan to ensure that there was no issues with data inconsistency, they wanted that to always be the rule. So challenging in Monday because horizontally much easier to do things, vertically becomes difficult if you aren't using a timeline or a dependency column. So the client wondered, could AI be applied here and did it make sense for this particular use case? So what we finally came to in terms of decision making was that when we critically analyze the workflow, which is what you always want to do when it comes to, do we automate something? Do we integrate? Do we apply AI? It shouldn't just be a blanket rule to put AI in place. So what came into account when assessing this was there was no critical decision making that required the application of AI, and it was likely that it would do the process slower. So it was really important for them that it happened quickly. It was the same every time. So it wasn't judgment calls. It wasn't things happening at that particular point in time. So that was really important. It was repetitive. It was the same thing. There was a predefined outcome. So what we really came to is the integration ultimately was cheaper. And that evolved for that to be the winner. Now, importantly, we did show the client, here's our AI could potentially apply to this. This is what the cost is going to look like. And this is how it stacks up against an integration or a code-based solution. So what we effectively did was in Monday, they had a new plan for an itinerary. We attached some automatic webhooks that would become the triggers for the things that would change in their kind of event plan. They would trigger on start time, duration, add or delete, and then it would run deterministic integration code. And the start times of the next item would automatically change. So importantly, AI could, in theory, potentially do this process. What we found is that this process through a direct integration would be much, much more efficient and give the same result every time at a lower cost and quicker. So when we jump in and have a quick look at what this looks like, we can see, let's say we have an item. So here's our, planned task. And then we've got another one below it. Importantly, when this kind of kicks off, we had automatic webhooks that are included on this particular project. So it ensures that this becomes very seamless in terms of the process and what would happen for these particular items when things change. Now, our start point here is really, okay, we're setting the start time for a particular item. This gives us this finish time. Now that's an automatic formula between rows. You can see automatically our integration is run to identify the item above it, its finish time, to flow down to the start time of the one below it. Now, in the context of integrations and applying it to tools like Monday, this is something you could use for a range of different use cases outside of just time-based travel planning itineraries. It could be anything that isn't timeline connected to dependency that shifts those things automatically. Vertically, it could be something else, and that's where it can become super powerful, something like this to achieve that. Now, the webhook's also tied to duration, so if I give it a change here, again, we've got our horizontal formula-based change, which is easy natively in Monday, and we've got our shift down here to another item below it. Let's say we want to then add another item, so let's duplicate it. We've now got an item here. We can see that it's come in the middle here, so it's got a start time of 11. It also goes for 2 hours, so we've got a shift automatically. So it's important to account for variances, especially when planning integrations, workflows. How is the client actually going to use it? And where does deterministic paths make sense? Where does AI overlay? For AI to kind of do these things at scale, like it could, but is it going to be the most efficient way to handle it? Where there's no reasoning or clear kind of decision making or application, it would make sense for this to just be an integration as it is. If we change this one, we can see now that this is going to update us to 1 hour here, and it's also going to affect the one below it. If we now go to delete this one, so let's say this one is gone, we made a mistake, we can see that we've got a mismatch in times. Because we have webhooks tied to also delete, it will update that to the right time here, so we can see we're now in the right sequence. So really important application of integrations, how they can be used, and inside a workflow, why it's really important to think about, do I need AI? Where is its real value? Is it a small pocket of the particular deterministic workflow? Is it the whole thing? And where does it make sense from scale, cost, and efficiency?